Okay, welcome everyone. I got a communication just now from Dr. Ruvain Guy that our Chaver Adaf, Dr. Matthew Guy, who's with us every night, had a fall. He said he's all right, but he's in the hospital. He's hopefully being discharged soon, but he gave me his name to learn for Moshe Yaakov Alevi Ben Golda. He should have a refuah shalema b'sech shechel Yisrael. I believe Dr. Guy is on at least his fourth or maybe his fifth cycle of Shas with me, and he should have a refuah shalema b'sech shechel Yisrael. It's good to have Marshall with us. Some people, they come, they bring a crowd. So Marshall comes with a crowd. You
have to give him the bourbon. He poured at least 100.
Yeah, as long as they all have Gemaras, it's fine. We are sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Lili Nishmas Yaakov Zeb ben Yudaye, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzibya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef ben Sima Yaakov Zev, for food shalema for Moshe Aryeh ben Miriam, and for a good shidduch for Chayot Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We have the pleasure of having Baruch Ian with us here at the Shir. Some people, they drive 17 hours in order to come to the Shir. I mean, it's Baruch Hashem. Some people come with thousands of people. Other people drive 17 hours. And Baruch, it's great to have you as he sponsors the Shir L'Nishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Esther Bas Yona, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKohen, and should we continue learning for Liba Bas Anya, She'av Refuah Shalema B'Sech Shechel Yisrael. We're sponsored by A.B. Spry. We're sponsored for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel Ben Bela Shendel Rivka. We're sponsored by Mark Frankel in memory of his father Yisrael Tzvi Ben Chaim Yeshua Falik, and by Berish Gesem in L'Refuah Shalema for Shoshana Bas Adina Chana and Berish Bas Ben Miriam Sarah. They should have a Refuah Shalema B'Sech Shechel Yisrael.
Otherwise, Mordechai Tzvi Ben Rus Chana.
By Mordechai Tzvi Ben Rus Chana.
And Chaya Freda Bas Rachel Rivka.
Chaya Freda Bas Rachel Rivka. We have in mind Chaver Adaf Aaron Ben Sarah and Chaver Adaf Nachman Yaakov Ben Sarah. They should have a refuah shalema b'sech shechel Yisrael. We are holding by Itmar, two lines from the bottom of Daf Pei Vav Amud Beis. So the Gemara says Itmar Pirshu Kaidem Chatzos. Now here, what Barry did is the hardened meat separated from the mizbeach before chatzos, v'chziron achar chatzos, and he returned it after chatzos. So remember, we said what comes off before chatzos should be returned. What comes off after chatzos doesn't have to be returned. This came off before chatzos, and then he returned it after chatzos. So now the question is, when is it considered consumed? When is it considered finished? That there won't be any milah. So the Rabbah says you got to wait till the chatzos of the next day. Chatzos sheni oichelasan. The chatzos of the next day is what finishes it. Rav Chisda says no. Amar hashachar oichelasan. At dawn, it's already considered to be completed. So Imrei Bei Rav, they said in the Academy of Rav, my time at Rav Chisda, what's the reason, Rav Chisda? Oma chatzos. Ma de chatzos. She'ein oisolina, it doesn't make something considered to be disqualified because it's left after its time, oisa ikol causes something to be digested, amar shachar, which is such a cutoff that it disqualifies something as being considered past its time. Amar shachar she'oisa lina einoi din she'oisa ikol. Surely it should make it be considered as if it's digested. Now, pirshu kainum chatzais, if it's separated before chatzais, v'chziran la'achar amar hashachar, and you first returned it after dawn. In other words, it came off before chatzais, and you returned it after dawn. Now, when is it considered finished? Rabba amar chatzais sheni yoichlasan. The next chatzais makes it to be completed. Rav Chisda Amar, Rav Chisda says, no, ein ban ikul olam. It's never fully consumed. In other words, until it's made into coal, this is considered forbidden, because the svara of lina is only the first dawn, not the second dawn. There's no lina on a second dawn. So now the Gemara says, I don't understand. Why do we say that the process of making it considered to be finished when it's already hardened, why is it only if it's on top of the Mizbeach? Maybe it's considered finished as soon as it passes. I mean, obviously it's, if it was left on the Mizbeach and it's this way after Chatzais, we said it's not returned. So it's not the way it is. It's the Zman. So why? Who says it depends on it physically being on the Mizbeach? Maskler of Yosef man leimal on the Chatzais b'reisha Mizbeach mashvilu ikol. Who says that Chatzais on the top of the Mizbeach makes it digested? Dilma kol eicha de mishkachas, wherever it is, even if it came down, if it's in this state and it passes through Chatzais, it's finished. Dilma kol eicha de mishkachas mashvelu ichu. And Rabbi Yosef's svara, the Gemara now buys as a solid svara, because it's obviously it's not the state of what it's in. We said if it's a hardened piece of meat, if it's before Chatzais, you got to return it. If it's after Chatzais, you don't. Remember we said it says that you take the night and tain boiker leboikra. You give an earlier time to the Trumas Hadashin. And we said that one pasuk says that you remove it the whole night, and one pasuk says you smoke it up, and we split the night in half. Before Chatzais, you have to return it. After Chatzais, you don't. So Rabbi Yosef says it doesn't make a difference if it's physically on the Mizbeach Chatzais or not. The cutoff is Chatzais. And the Gemara says, you know what? Sholchu mitam, they sent from over there means from Eretz Yisrael. Hilchas like Rabbi Yosef, the law is like Rabbi Yosef. And Ibn Nami Am Rab Chia bar Abba, Pirshu Kaidem Chatzais, if it was separated before Chatzais, Be'ezirun Achar Chatzais, and you returned it after Chatzais, well, since it's on the Mizbeach, Loi Nenin, you shouldn't benefit from it, but V'loi Mayalin, there's no Me'ila, because since it passed Chatzais, was already, Chatzais digests it, and there's no Me'ila anymore. The Chaim Tana Bar Kapara, so did Bar Kapara teach, Pirshu Kaidem Chatzais, if it was separated before Chatzais, V'chziran la'achar Chatzais, and then it was returned after Chatzais, Yotzim Midei Mila, there's no Mila anymore, because Chatzais came and removed the Issa Mila. So now the question is, what's the machlokes between Rabba and Rav Chisda? Amalei Rav Papa Labaya v'chime achad isholchu mitam. Hilchas Rav Yosef, after they sent from over there, that the law is like Rav Yosef, that it doesn't have to be physically on the Mizbeach. V'amar Reb Chia bar Abba, and Reb Chia bar Abba said, V'chein Tani bar Kapara. And so did bar Kapara also teach, Rabba v'Rav Chisda b'may pligi. They argue about where it's taken off before Chatzos, what counts, the dawn or the Chatzos of the next day. Why not that Chatzos? Since we said it works even if it's not on the Mizbeach. Amalei, no, they're talking about a different case. They're not talking about a hardened, where the limb is hardened like wood. They're talking about b'shmeinim, where it's fatty. So where it's fatty, so then chatzos is not enough to remove the me'ilah because there's still some fat on it. Says the Gemara, now, we know that if something is left past the morning, it's disqualified. That's called lina. It's left overnight, it's disqualified. What about if it was on the top of the Mizbeach, not on the fire? On the fire, it's burning. That's not a question. It was on the top, on the side of the pyre. Is the Mizbeach a safe zone? That something that's on the Mizbeach isn't disqualified with lina? Or can it be disqualified? You didn't put it on the fire, and it's past the morning, it's disqualified. So says the Gemara, let's see it inside. Is there a disqualification of lina, of being left beyond the morning, for something that's on top of the Mizbeach, or is there no such disqualification? So the Gemara says, Heichi dami. Ilema delo yardu. If it never was taken down, you put it there and it was never taken down. Well, then of course it's not disqualified. Hashtelonu ba'azara. We said that if it was left overnight, if you put it on, you don't take it down. Omarta delo yardu, right? We said one of the cases of im alu lo yardu is if it was left overnight. So you see, even if it was left overnight in the azara, if you put it up, you don't take it down. So surely if it's up and was never taken down, if it was up and never taken down, of course it won't be disqualified. Well, what it must be talking about is where it was left overnight, and in the morning, at 10 o'clock in the morning, you took it down. Do you put it back up? Ve'ela diyardu. Do we say, no, the top of the Mizbeach is a safe haven. It's like the shulchan. The din is if you leave the lechem aponim on the shulchan, if for whatever reason you didn't take it off on Shabbos and you left it on for another week till the next Shabbos, it doesn't get disqualified. There's no lina with stuff on the shulchan. Do we say l'shulchan medamin alei? We compare it to the table. The Tanan afilu hein al shulchan yom rabbi. If the lechem aponim is on the table for many days, ein bekach klum. It doesn't become disqualified because the shulchan is a safe haven. Or it's like the ground. And if it's on the ground in the morning, it's going to be disqualified. So the top of the Mizbeach, not on the pyre, also, it's if you left it past the morning and you took it down, you can't put it back up. Amalei, so the Gemara says categorically, it's a safe haven. Ein lina b'rosh shel Mizbeach. There's no being left overnight on the top of the Mizbeach. So the question is, this was the answer that Rabbah gave Rava. The Gemara wants to know if Rava accepted the answer. This is the answer that Rabbah gave Rava, but we don't know a response. Did Rava accept this? So the Gemara says, Kibla minei oiloi. Did he accept the answer or not? Tajma, De'emar, Evarim shelonu ba'azara, limbs that were left over in the azara. Mitkatev oila kol halayla, you could of course smoke it up the entire night, because that's why Marav is the entire night. Marav is connected. Haktoras Evarim Padarim. You could smoke it up the whole night. Lon b'roisha yishel mizbeach, if it was left on the top of the mizbeach, mikatev oilech la'olam, you could smoke it up always, because it never came down. Yardu, if it came down, Rabba Amar Yalu, Rabba says you bring it back up. Rav Amar Lo Ya, so Rabba doesn't agree. Rabba said if you took it down, even though it was overnight on the top of the Mizbeach, it's not a safe haven. And if you took it down, you shouldn't put it back up. Shma Mina, like Kibla Mina, that he didn't accept as being a safe haven. Shma Mina. Now we learned in the Mishnah that not only does the altar magnetize the items that are put on it, but also the ramp. How do we know also the ramp? That if you put something that wasn't worthy on the ramp, it stays on the ramp and it's put onto the altar. So Tan Rabbanan, Hanageya b'mizbeach. If something touches the mizbeach, even though it's disqualified, it stays im alu lo yard. Ein liyala mizbeach kevesh minayin. How do we know that the same thing applies to the ramp? Talmud Leimer es hamizbeach. We learn it out from the word es. Klei shoreis minayin. How do we know that something that's put in a ministering vessel also becomes holy? Now, to the extent of what? Does it mean that it becomes holy, that it gets Kedushas Haguf, that you can't redeem it? Does it mean that once it goes on the into a clay sharis, it could go on the Mizbeach, even though it's disqualified? We'll discuss that. But says the Gemara, Talmud Leimer, Kolam Nageya Behem Yiktash. Whatever comes to contact with the clay sharis is sanctified. So now, the Gemara says, does a clay sharis have such a power? Is it empowered that if you put something puzzle in the clay sharis, it can allow you to put it on the mizbeach as if you put it on the mizbeach? So, by minei Reish Lakish Merab Yochanan clay sharis, mao sheyikadesh es apsulin, sheyikachu es apsulin. Does it sanctify psulin to ensure that it should go on the mizbeach? Amalei. So the Gemara says, Tanitua, we learned kishem shem mizbeach vakevesh mikachim es aroila, and just like the mizbeach and the ramp is mikadesh that which is fit for it, kach kelim mikachlin. So the Gemara says, yeah, but I'm not, all that tells me is that it gives it Kedushas Haguf, and you can't redeem it. Right? Things that have Kedushas Haguf you can't redeem. Right? If you dedicate something to temple maintenance, then you can redeem it. So I know that the Klei Sharis is Mekadosh something to effect that once you put it in, once you put the mincha in a clay sharis, you can't redeem it. If it becomes tamei, you can't redeem it. Amalei, but he says, I want to know, does it mean that once it goes into the clay sharis, l'chatchila l'karev kamabayli? I want to know, do we say that it says if you put it on the Mizbeach, that you could put it onto the Mizbeach. So the Gemara says, yeah, Hanami Tanina. This we also learned. Shekiblu Psulin, if it was accepted by a apostle, Vizorku es damai. Says the Gemara, my love, isn't this talking about Shekiblu Psulim, that it was caught by apostle, and it's telling us that when it was caught by apostle, that v'zorku psulim, that it's allowed to be put on, because once it's put into klei shoris, the klei shoris is as if it was put on the mizbeach, and then you're allowed to throw it on even though it's puzzle. Says, well, no, that's not what it means. Loisha kiblu psulim, either if you were makabel, apostle was makabel it, and you put it on, you don't take it down. Inamish zorku psulim, that if it was thrown by apostle, you don't take it down. It's not telling me that if it was caught in apostle state, it automatically goes up because it was in the klei sharis.
Aren't we asking about a puzzle item or a puzzle person doing it?
Well, either way, if it was kiblu psulin, it becomes puzzle.
Uh-huh. But intrinsically, it's not puzzle. I mean, you're saying intrinsically it becomes puzzle.
Right. Now, here the next thing is very interesting.
Is it time to greet?
What?
Isn't it time to greet everyone?
Yes, we welcome in Saber, Ring Fishbaum, Yaakov Warman, Mo Kushner, Yisrael Fisher, Dr. Black, Shimon Klein, Shalom Fogel, Michal, and Rabbi Kranz, Elia Yaffe. He still wouldn't have been the minion. Right? We only have here.
I drove 17 hours.
Yeah, I know. No, but we still only have 8 here, even if he would be here. Otherwise, I'd tell him to come. Barry Cement, Eddie Chazan, Elliot Udell, Yitzi Fuchs, Marshall Castle, Moshe Lehman, Stephen Holtzman, Shelley Zeitman, Elia Schuttman, Yitzi Muller, A. Barbach, Naftali Jablin, and David Helfgott here in the shul. We have Berish Gessman, Gedalia Engel, Chaim Kramer, Michal Avram, Danny Vogel, Ruvain Shannon, and the one and only Baruch Ian, who braved the Chesapeake Bridge without sides and next to the boats. You ever go on there where there was a boat right alongside you? It's really something.
Harrowing experience.
Yeah, I went 80 miles out of my way not to go on that bridge. I didn't like that bridge. It's 17 miles. 17 miles, that bridge. You ever went on that bridge? Chesapeake Bridge?
Where does it connect? Maryland.
It's Virginia and...
From Virginia goes to Maryland. It's like 301.
So it's open at both ends. Open, Mamash, you're on the water. It's like a road on the water. You have open water on either side of you, and boats come right next to you. It's 17 miles. 17 miles. Yeah. Anyway, for some people.
The remainder of our learning be Lili Nishmas my mother, Chai Rachel Bas David Tzvi. So you're outside, third one.
Oh wow, Chai Rachel Bas David Tzvi. The neshama should have an aliyah. Really, really special person. You know, it's on a yard site. I'll mention something. How many people put a tefillah rolled up and inserted into the piping of the menorah? She used to put a tefillah and insert the tefillah inside the menorah. When they took out her tefillah, they found that she asked for everyone but herself. Am I correct about that? Asked for everyone but herself. She was an extraordinarily special woman. One of the few women in Staten Island that had relationships with both my Rebbitzins. She had a relationship before she passed away with my second Rebbitzin also. My Rebbitzin, Shashi, has a very good eye for deep people. And she was a very deep spiritual woman. Hanashama should have a liftig and a Gan Eden.
Man, thank you so much.
Says the Gemara, Avir Mizbeach Mizbeach Dami Oiloi. What about the ear space? If something is suspended over the ear space of the Mizbeach, is that like it's being on the Mizbeach? And that if it was put there, you put it on the pyre, or it has to actually touch the Mizbeach? So says the Gemara, Tashma Kishem Sham Mizbeach Mekadesh Ka Kevesh Mekadesh. Just like the Mizbeach sanctifies, so the ramp sanctifies. But if the airspace doesn't count, you have to lift it off the ramp in order to put it on the Mizbeach. And once you put it lift it up and put it in the airspace, it's as if you took it down. So you shouldn't be able to put it back on the Mizbeach. The Amrid Ava Mizbeach Lavke Mizbeach, then Aver Kevish, Nami Lavke Kevish Dami, and the airspace of the ramp is not like the ramp. When you pick it up from the ramp in order to put it on the Mizbeach, so once you pick it up from the ramp, it's not on the ramp anymore. You should have to take it down. Because we know.
Holding it, you're mechubal l'kauta.
You don't count. You don't count. It has to be, if the avir is not like the mizbeach, then it's considered as if you took it off the mizbeach and you took it off the ramp.
Why do you have the space to anything?
Well, we'll see about that. Very good. We'll see about that. So, heichi masik le mikevish l'mizbeach havale yerud. So the Gemara says no problem. It's a simple answer. The nugget lay. You pulled it. You pulled it from the ramp onto the mizbeach, so it didn't go into the airspace. Says the Gemara, but as Ruvain Shanet so accurately asked, remember we said that there was a little space between the ramp and the mizbeach, so when it goes in that space, so it's off the ramp, it's not yet on the mizbeach, you should have to take it down. Says the Gemara, that's a very small space. And therefore, Ruba lekevesh kekevesh, when the majority of it is on the ramp, it's as if it's on the ramp. And Ruba lemizbeach, and when the majority is on the mizbeach, kemizbeach. Says the Gemara, but we should be able to at least resolve a question that we had. Tifshit maha ha'deboy rami bar chama yesh chibur la'oilin oiloi. Things that go on the mizbeach, are they considered attached or not? To tivshait the yesh chibur, that they're considered attached, because if they're not considered attached, then we should view the part that's in the airspace as if it was taken down. Says the Gemara, that's no problem. Tivshait, that is considered attached. You're right, which is the pashtus. But now we're going to get really technical. Maskif lo Rava barav Chanan. Remember, what's pigel? Pigel is machshava to do achar zman. How is it possible to have pigel by oilas ha'oif? Now, normally, pigel, one of the ways of pigel is to eat it after its time. But by an oilas ha'oif, you can't have a machshava to eat it after its time, because in oila, there's no eating. It completely goes on the mizbeach. So the only pigel would be to smoke it up after its time. But we have a problem. We do the oilas ha'oif on the top of the mizbeach. If the avir of the mizbeach is like the mizbeach, there can never be after its time by an oilas ha'oif. Because it's always in a safe zone. It's always on the Mizbeach. So it never could be after it.
Maybe he didn't put on the Mizbeach yet, until after its time.
I think you were saying the Gemara's answer, so wait. Let's see the question first. Maskva Rava Barav Chanan v'i Amrit Ava Mizbeach Mizbeach Dami Oyla Sa'if the Pasla b'Machshav Heichim Mishkachasol. Remember, when does he have the Machshav of Pigel? During the Avodah Saddam. So he has to have it when he's doing the Malika on the top of the Mizbeach. Listen carefully to Rabbi Kranz. He's already doing the Malika on top of the Mizbeach when he has the Machshava. And therefore, as soon as he did the Malika, it's already on top of Mizbech. And if Ava Mizbech to Mizbech Dami, it's already in a safe zone, and therefore there's no Lach Hazmat. So says the Gemara, it is possible. And maybe this is what Rabbi Kranz means. Maskva Shimi Ba'ashi Alam Aloi, Mishkachasa, it would be where what Yaakov Warman does is Kigain the Hareini Molka, Almanas Lohorida Lamacher, I'm going to take it down tomorrow, Ulaloiso Laktira, and then bring it back up. Right? So I know it's on top and it's on a safe zone, but he says I'm doing it having in mind to take it down, because once you take it down you don't put it back up, and bring it back up after the Zman and smoke it up. Says the Gemara, well, honey, Rava, the Amalina Moeles Bereisha Mizbeach. That's good if you hold that it's disqualified if it was left on the top of the Mizbeach. El Rabadama Ein Lina Moeles Bereisha Mizbeach. Says the Gemara, no, he doesn't mean that he's just going to put it on the side. He's going to take it down entirely. Says the Gemara, Leisel Machshavtai, Rabbanami Mishkachasla, Kigain Dama Hareni Molka, I'm going to be Moilikit, Almanaslo Rida Kaidam Amid HaShachar, I'm going to take it down before Amid HaShachar, and then Ula Loisa Lachar Amid HaShachar, and I'm going to bring it back up after Amid HaShachar, so that One second. Hold on a second. Hold on. Right, because originally what Yaakov said was Hareini Molka, I'm being Moiliket Almanaslo Rida Lamacher, to take it down the next day, Ula Aloisa Laktira. But if it was there overnight, then it was protected from being disqualified, because Lina doesn't help on the top of the Mizbeach, so it still wouldn't be forbidden. El Rabadam Eina Lina Ma'elas Bereisha Mizbeach, when he takes it down the next day, it's not disqualified. Leisel Machshavtai. Says Gemara, yeah, but even according to Rabbah, it would be if Yaakov says, I'm shechting it, having in mind to take it down before Amid HaShachar, so that at dawn it's off the Mizbeach and it's disqualified, and then bringing it back up and smoking it up. Says Gemara, L'Rabba Nami Mishkachas L'Kigain Da'amar Hareini Molka I'm doing Malika. I'll take it down before Amid HaShachar. So it's not protected from Lina because it's not on the Mizbeach at dawn. And then afterwards, I'm going to bring it back up and smoke it up so that it's going to be Haktar L'Achazman. So we have a case, so let's talk about that outside. We have a case of Olas Ha'oif where it could be, even if you hold that the ear space of the Mizbeach is like the Mizbeach, we have a case of Pigel where you brought the Olas Ha'oif on top, shechted it, but said, I have in mind that I'm shechting this now to take it down before Amid HaShachar, and then to bring it back up after Amid HaShachar, right? So when you had no right to bring it up because you took it down, so you had no right to bring it up and smoke it up tomorrow so that it would be a machshava of Pigel. Rabbi Kranz, you still have a question?
I just had a question on something else, but not on this.
On something else?
On something else. I was, when we talked about that we're dragging the thing, Avir of the Mizbeach, I was thinking, what about Lavud? If you pick it up within 3 tvachim.
You were asking about Lavud?
No, I was wondering why, instead of answering that the Avir, when we tried to prove the Avir of Mizbeach, you could have answered, instead of dragging it, you could have possibly answered that you picked.
I don't know whether we say the halach l'Moshe Messina have Lavud by Kachin.
Okay.
I cannot remember a time where we say Lavud by Kachin.
I was just throwing it out there. I wasn't asking as a kasha. Oh, this is a kasha. I was just thinking about it.
Okay, Rabbi Isai, we're going to now have the Chumash here. I want to already let you know, you didn't do the calendar yet, right? Right, because there's an important alteration on the calendar. This Matzah Shabbos, I'm giving a big Chanukah shir in Tom's River at 9:30. So the daf will be a half an hour earlier this Matzah Shabbos. Instead of 8 o'clock, the daf will be 7:30. So I want to already let the Olam know. I know it's only Wednesday night, but for those that might not be here, the Shir Matzah Shabbos will be at 7:30, and now we're going to do the Chumash Shir.